2 minutes till broadcast. One minute till broadcast. Thirty seconds till broadcast. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Begin transmission.
Broadcasting from the heart of the nation, the next generation in conservative talk radio. This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Oh, yes, it is. What is up, my friends? Welcome into it. It is your pre-Friday celebration. Greatest day of the entire week as we are ready to set that tone for the day today. And what a day it's been, man. Still a lot of news lingering out there. There's plenty to cover from the stuff we didn't get to yesterday, things going on today. We still have the ongoing long-term marathon debate of the SAVE Act with the filibuster happening right now in the U.S. Senate, which we may go live to here in just a moment. Because why the heck not? We want to see what the heck they're saying, and are we going to see any kind of productivity? We're all about productivity here, right? Not just about the showmanship that many politicians like to do. I know, that's a very radical statement, apparently. So we'll get to that here in just a moment. First and foremost, as usual, welcome into the show. It is the Voice of Reason. I am Andy Hooser, doing our thing.
Do it live!
Like we do every single day on so many great radio affiliates across the nation. Adam Finnegan will be on the program. We should have had him on St. Patrick's Day. Adam Finnegan will be on the program at the bottom of the hour. He is the author of the book, The Sleeper Agent. We're going to talk about biological warfare, and is the government and especially health departments really open and transparent about the potential biological warfare or the diseases that are floating around society and what can be prevented and what's been done by the government itself.
Say what?
I know. So we'll get to that here in just a moment at the bottom of the hour and look forward to chatting with him in just a bit. But that being said, if you want to find more information about the show, find us on our website, HooserReason.com. That's HOOSER Reason.com. And I highly recommend that you do. I was actually spending some time last night. We revamped our website a little bit. We added some different pages, some different features. You have a lot more stuff to go and check out. We still have our bingo card on there. And I have not looked at our bingo card in a while. The Voice of Reason political bingo card of 2026. It's a PDF file. It's right on the homepage. You can download it. You can print it off, put it on your refrigerator, and just sporadically check in. And with all the craziness in the world today, we kind of need to compare to see if some of the predictions we made this year are starting to come to fruition. And it looks like many of them are. No, hold on. No. I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing with some of the things that are on the political bingo card for the Voice of Reason, but it's there nonetheless, and it's going to be interesting to see how this year plays out. Now, we did this at the beginning of the year, if not in December. I don't remember when we actually uploaded it. So you can't say, Andy, you just added those stuff on there later on. No, it's been on there since at least January, if not in December. So we have a wide spectrum of what was anticipated to happen throughout the year of 2026. Again, it's our political bingo card. You can go to HooserReason.com. Also, we created a new page on there just to kind of help navigate you on there. We have a new tab called Find the Show, which is where you can watch and listen to the show live when we're on every day. We also have our podcast links on there now. So under the Find the Show, there's a podcast page where you can listen to the podcast right there, but also it has the links to all the podcast platforms that we're on, which you can find at The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser on any of your favorite podcasting platforms. But then we have the Find the Show for the radio affiliates and all the radio stations that we're on, which we continue to add to each and every week. So there's that. We have our partners, all of our great partners and sponsors on the show. I didn't realize how many great discounts that we offer through the show. So there's links on there. You can find it all on there again at HooserReason.com. And of course, download that political bingo card. Follow me on this journey this year as we go on and wonder what the heck's in store for us for 2026, when already it seems like we've looked at 2025 and said, hold our adult beverage, which is kind of neat. All right, let's get into what's trending here, shall we?
What's trending today?
Just for a moment, why the heck not? Let's jump over to the live feed right now. Hat tip to the Associated Press and YouTube on this one for the live marathon filibuster that's going on regarding the SAVE Act.
Said, quote, only sick, demented, or deranged people in the House or Senate could vote against the Save America Act. And then he threatened, not to me, but on the other side of the aisle, to sink any Republican who doesn't fall in line. Here's what he said: I will never, ever endorse anyone who votes against this legislation. What's going on here? What is it about this bill that the president is so exercised about? Why is he saying these outrageous and exaggerated
This is a Democrat,
things?
by the way.
I'll tell you. Because this legislation is the crown jewel in a grand scheme to rig the results of the upcoming midterm election. Some of my Republican colleagues have come to the floor to defend it, saying it's necessary to safeguard our elections. So let's just look at some facts. Facts. Let's pick a period of time. How about from 1999 to 2023, 24 years in American history. Every 2 years we have an election cycle, and 80 to 100,000 people are going to register to vote in each of those 2-year cycles. 80 to 100 million, excuse me, are going to register in those 2-year cycles. So in the period of time between 1999 and 2023, 24 years, 12 different election cycles, and millions of people registering to vote in the United States. How many were discovered to be falsifying their country of origin and to be illegal and unqualified to vote? Take a guess. 7 million, right? No. Well, 700,000. No. How about 700? No. 77 people were found to try to falsify where they were from to vote in a 24-year period of time. 77 in 24 years.
All right, let's go ahead and jump up. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time on that. I find it interesting that we still have this live filibuster going on. I believe, is that Dick Durbin? I believe that's Dick Durbin that is the Democrat right now sitting on the Senate floor. And again, we've said it before, that this is the kind of argument that they make, that there's no widespread voter fraud, that there's no type of illegal alien or undocumented or someone that's not supposed to be voting the way they're not supposed to be voting. They're not voting multiple times, that there's been no criminal cases, that there's been very few in this past, 24 years that he said, and 77 cases that they actually found. And the reason is because they just haven't been caught. I mean, look, if you're not worried about it and if it's not a big issue, why would you put up a wall and fight against this so badly? It's not that big of a thing. Then pass it and then be done. And then you can gloat afterwards and be like, look, there's no widespread voter fraud. There's nothing crazy going on. We told you this was not a big issue. So why did we spend so much time trying to fight against it? That to me just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But I know. The reason they do it is because there hasn't been a study to show whether it's actually happening widespread or not. We don't know. There's no research to be done, so they blindly follow and say, well, there's no research that proves it, So therefore, it's not happening, even though there's no research that's been done in the first place to show one way or the other. So if you're not worried about it, if it's not a big deal, then why are you fighting against it so badly? The things that make you go, which is kind of crazy. So real quick, and then we'll move off of the SAVE Act, because I know we've spent a lot of time on it lately. But at some point, we have to do some action. We're doing the filibuster right now, which we needed to go through this process. We're on day, number 3 now, I believe, with this filibuster, this long-term marathon debate on the Senate floor before we actually vote. They say it could go on for days, even potentially a week or two with this standing filibuster, this quote-unquote vocal filibuster that we're going to see on the Senate floor before the vote actually takes place. But is it going to do any good? Right now, obviously, this is the time where politicians on both ends of the aisle, let's be fair, are out there using this opportunity as their trigger words, their nice little audio clip to send it to their constituents going into election season to say, hey, this is where I stand on the issue. And it's going to be grandstanding, and it's going to be the nice audio clips, and it's going to be the nice, clickbait for social media with their 30-second bit where they think that's their really driving home point. And that's what politicians are using this for. But at the end of the day, is the speech one way or the other actually doing any good whatsoever? And I think John Thune, Senate Majority Leader, is recognizing this because he openly said we don't have the votes to pass the SAVE Act, and therefore we're just going to do this filibuster to go through the motion to make you, the American people, feel like we're doing something, and we're going to vote on it. We're going to get 51 votes, not the 60 votes, and then we'll move on, and then again, we'll just forget it ever happened and just forget about it altogether. I'm not okay with that. I'm not okay with that. So we need to find a way to actually make it out. We want the bill passed. How are we going to make the bill passed? Well, we can do it a certain way. We can attach it to another bill, like Anna Paulina Luna has proposed in the House by attaching it to the FISA. Maybe that would help them, or maybe that would shoot down FISA. I guess either way, I guess we would be okay with that because I'm okay with FISA going away in the first place anyways. So we could attach it to another bill where it's vital for them, or we can play the same game they did and put pressure on a government shutdown or something that makes them really force their hand to get on board. Make them capitulate. Make them bend their knee, because Democrats don't like to bend their knee very much, which is why you, if you are traveling during spring break, are in ridiculous lines right now at the airports because TSA workers just aren't working when they're not getting a paycheck, which is a whole nother conversation. But at some point, we have to go away from the grandstanding of a filibuster that's not going to change any result at the end of the day to finding a way to make it happen. And I think there's ways to do it. We just have to be a little bit more creative, and as creative as many Democrats are when they try to promote an agenda and try to force the hand of Republicans by making them scared of their own shadow. All right, that being said, we'll continue to follow that as it goes along, but let's shift gears a little bit.
What's trending today?
One of the things I wanted to get to yesterday we didn't get a chance to talk about was a hearing not only with Kash Patel as the FBI director, but also as the Department of National Intelligence and the director for the intelligence offices with Tulsi Gabbard having a congressional hearing and giving some updates on what was going on. And I think it was worth noting and of importance yesterday because with the ongoing conflict in Iran, you got to remember, this should be at least, I think, and I think conservative media maybe dropped the ball on this one a bit nationwide, that Tulsi Gabbard is probably one of the most instrumental individuals in either supporting or not supporting a conflict in Iran. When right now we have a podcasters war. We have a lot of talking heads that are out there saying that Donald Trump has betrayed the America First agenda. We have a lot of former elected officials, you know who we're talking about, down in the state of Georgia, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Oh, did I say that out loud? That I used to really enjoy, but now she's kind of really turned her back on Donald Trump and says that he's betrayed it and that he's become just as much of a warmonger as everybody else. And to me, if we're concerned about Donald Trump betraying his base, betraying the America First agenda, becoming a warmonger, embracing those that are part of the military-industrial complex, I would turn my eyes towards ones that are against that idea completely and that still support President Donald Trump. And I would turn my head to someone like Tulsi Gabbard, who was, if you remember, a former Democrat, a staunch Democrat, but was one who was in the military, still in the reserves, by the way, in Hawaii, and came on board, denounced her Democrat movement, registered as a Republican, and endorsed Donald Trump because, well, he's not a warmonger and he didn't support the military-industrial complex. And if that's the case of what she's doing, I'm curious on where she stands on this particular issue.
Conflict and instability will shape security, political, and economic dynamics in a variety of ways. The IC assesses that Operation Epic Fury is advancing fundamental change in the region that began with Hamas's attack on Israel on October 7th, 2023, and continued with the 12-day war last year, resulting in weakening Iran and its proxies.
All right, so that was part of what she said on how this is actually helping based on the intelligence that she has. And remember, as the director of national intelligence, understanding the real threats around the world probably better than anybody else because she heads up on what intelligence is actually coming into the government. At the same time, along with her statement with Congress, she released a statement on social media and said Donald Trump was overwhelmingly elected by the American people to be our president and commander-in-chief. As our commander-in-chief, he is responsible for determining what is and is not an imminent threat and whether or not to take action he deems necessary to protect the safety and security of our troops, the American people, and our country. The Office of the Director of National Intelligence is responsible for helping coordinate and integrate all intelligence to provide the president and commander-in-chief with the best information available to inform his decisions. After careful reviewing all the information before him, President Trump concluded that the terrorist Islamic regime in Iran posed an imminent threat, and he took action based on that conclusion. Neither confirming nor denying her endorsement on the issue, but saying he deemed it, and I'm standing by him with that decision. And to me, that's a really interesting stance to take.
Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
When America builds, the world follows. Our energy powered the 20th century. We've set the standard for generations, and we never waited for permission. But now, we're being held back. Outdated rules, endless delays. Without permitting reform, Washington's red tape is slowing us down while other nations race ahead. It doesn't have to be this way. We can clear the way for energy that's affordable, reliable, and built right here. Because what's built here is felt here. Lower costs, more jobs, stronger communities. That's what permitting reform makes possible. Energy didn't just shape our country, it powered the American dream. And with our innovation, we can lead the 21st century. Congress has a choice. Build America's energy future or risk falling behind. Tell Congress, pass permitting reform now.
Hey, did you know that you can have multiple different networks on one single smartphone? Well, with Patriot Mobile, you can. It's time for you to sign up for the Patriot Mobile primary phone plan with plans as low as $15 a month, where you can have 2 numbers and 2 networks on one single phone. And right now, if you sign up using the promo code REASON, you can get an entire month absolutely free. It's the Patriot Mobile One plan. 1 phone, 2 numbers, and 2 networks. And it's all at patriotmobile.com/reason. Again, patriotmobile.com, and use the promo code REASON. As you know, I'm always looking for a good snack, but it's hard to find good quality snacks without all the unhealthy additives. But now that problem is over. It's time to enjoy J&S Smoked Snacks. Real cuts of beef, real wood smoke, and real flavor that's crafted in small batches to keep every bag fresh. I promise you'll be addicted. And with numerous different flavors, you'll never get enough. This is not your average gas station jerky. It's J&S Smoked Snacks. Find them online at jssmokedsnacks.com and tell them I sent you.
What fuels the freedom to dream bigger? How did 2 guys in a cramped California garage reimagine the phone and put the power of the universe at our fingertips? At Americans for Prosperity, we believe greatness can happen anywhere. We just need freedom and the opportunity to make it real. But today, with a rigid system stifling progress, limiting creativity, and holding us back. That's why at AFP, we offer solutions that tackle the most critical challenges facing our country, so there's nothing standing in the way of America's next breakthrough. Because what we build today doesn't just shape the future, it defines it. How will you be defined? Take your first step today with Americans for Prosperity.
When you choose Patriot Mobile, you're not just picking a wireless provider. You're choosing a company that shares your values. It's easy to switch, and you can keep your number, your phone, and most importantly, your values. With Patriot Mobile, you get the power of nationwide coverage on all 3 major networks. That means wherever life takes you, we've got you covered on the same reliable networks you already know and trust. And when you need us, we're here for you right here at home. Our customer service is 100% US based because we believe that support should come from people who understand you and your values. At Patriot Mobile, you're not just another call, you're a priority. In today's world, where you spend your money matters more than ever, every dollar is a vote for the kind of future you want to build. Join the thousands of Americans making a difference with every call, every text, and every connection. Choose a company that shares your values. Choose Patriot Mobile.
Switch today and get 1 month of service absolutely free by going to patriotmobile.com/reason.
When reason meets radio. This is the voice of reason with Andy Hooser.
The ICS says the regime in Iran appears to be intact but largely degraded due to attacks on its leadership and military capabilities. Its conventional military power projection capabilities have largely been destroyed, leaving limited options. Iran's strategic position has been significantly degraded. The U.S.-led maximum pressure campaign and snapback of European sanctions added additional pressure to an already bleak Iranian economy, resulting in mass protests earlier this year that Tehran suppressed by killing thousands of protesters. Even if the regime remains intact, the IC assesses that internal tensions are likely to increase as Iran's economy worsens.
All right, so that was Tulsi Gabbard yesterday during a congressional hearing, giving some updates based on the Director of National Intelligence, the one that gathers the assessments of threats, the ones that sees what threats are and look like around the world, and the one that reports and works with the Trump administration and the president and the commander-in-chief to decide on how to approach that based on that type of intel. And again, one who is a staunch Democrat before, a very anti-military industrial complex individual, someone who despises long-term conflicts and wars, and came aboard with the Trump administration because of the fact that he stands on those issues based on supporting not getting into conflicts around the world. And with her statement, kind of interesting on where she stands on that by not endorsing, but just saying matter-of-factly, this is what's going on, and this is what I'm doing to help. I think that's a large telltale sign of where we're at right now, especially with her and where most people feel on the issue.
Even so, Iran and its proxies continue to attack U.S. and allied interests in the Middle East. The IC assesses that if a hostile regime survives, it will likely seek to begin a years-long effort to rebuild its military, missiles, and UAV forces.
I just got a message that said she sounds like an AI bot. She is very matter-of-fact. I mean, she was just, boom, there's the information. And I've always been a big fan of Tulsi Gabbard, especially when she came on board here. Obviously don't agree on her with everything. I mean, she's very much progressive on social issues, and she believes in like a universal basic income. I mean, she's a Democrat in many aspects, but I've really enjoyed on where Donald Trump has been able to put her. And she's done a fantastic job. But yeah, that hearing, she was just, boom, matter of fact. I will say, though, that Democrats tried to call her out because, of course, when they do hearings, and if you're part of the Trump administration, they can't stay on topic on asking about just the issues at hand. They have to just go, again, using it to try and grandstand, use it for their nice little talking point, and then send it to their social media and their constituents during the election, being like, I'm representing you. Well, that's what they did with her as well by asking her some really, really dumb questions.
Are you saying there is no foreign threat to our elections in the midterms this year?
Yeah, that one.
As I stated in the outset of my remarks, this year's annual threat assessment matches the prioritization of threats and
Please answer the question, yes or no. Is there foreign threat interference
Come on, man.
to our elections this year?
Laid out.
Are there foreign...
Please allow me to answer the question, sir. The intelligence community has been and continues to remain focused on any collection and intelligence products that show a potential foreign threat for those who are
So far, there has been none then because you've made no reports.
System.
Excuse me, ma'am. If you want to ask the questions, you should have stayed in Congress.
What are you talking about?
Please answer the questions.
I didn't ask you a question, sir. I'm trying to answer your question.
Very condescending, man. They get angry. They want their particular talking point. Just like how, asking Mark Wayne Mullen during that confirmation hearing with the committee, saying, wait a second, are you going to put ICE agents at election sites, at polling sites? And again, the same thing Kristi Noem answered when she was asked that question. Why would we do that? Unless there's a reason for criminals or illegal aliens or a threat to be happening at polling sites, there's no need to be doing so. You didn't answer the question. Are you going to do it? We don't have any plans to, but, if there's a threat that we might have to in particular areas, they don't like that. So they're out there grandstanding. It's what you expect. It's what happens during election season. I get it, but, man, So off topic. What does that have to do with Iran? What does that have to do with the intelligence going on right now, other than asking about their election? Because you know what's going to happen. If they don't win the midterm season, which predominantly goes towards a minority party, the ones that are in the minority at the time, which would be Democrats, if they don't pull that off, you can imagine they are going to be screaming about election fraud and how Donald Trump rigged the election for 2026, which I thought couldn't happen when Donald Trump claimed it and said it could never be possible to happen in the first place. Kind of interesting.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Miss any part of the show? Well, don't worry. Now's your chance to go find the podcast and listen to as much of the Voice of Reason as you'd like. As the show continues to grow all across the nation with great radio affiliates, we also continue to grow as one of the top conservative podcasts, ranked 5th on the MillionPodcast.com Best 50 Conservative Leadership Podcasts in the nation, and number 1 on FeedSpot.com's 30 Best Conservative Talk Shows in the country. The show continues to grow each and every day. Just find us on any of your favorite podcasting sites at The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HooserReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HooserReason.com.
Truth, reason, and common sense. This is the voice of reason with Andy Hooser.
Schumer, in a private meeting with other Democrat senators, said that if you'll just wait till after the election, I'll release the handcuffs. I added the handcuff part, but basically I'm paraphrasing what he said. The reason why is because they're afraid their base wouldn't show up today in Virginia, New Jersey, and in New York. So it's been about politics. It's never been about policy. It's been about holding the American people as leverage points, regardless of the damage they cause to the livelihood of these individuals. But elections are more important than the Dems because why? They know their polls is at the very bottom than it's ever been for the Democrat Party.
All right, so that's Mark Wayne Mullen as he's going through his confirmation hearings right now, which apparently that's going to be now on Tuesday after coming through committee, which we will talk about here in just a little bit. But, I mean, it's really true. DHS funding still lingering in the balance right now, and Democrats still holding on to watching hours upon hour-long waits at airports as TSA agents are not showing up. And it's all because they want to reform and defund an agency in a department that already has funding set for the next 4 years. How does that work? Oh, sorry, it doesn't. We'll cover some of that here in just a little bit. But when it comes to government accountability, what's going on behind the scenes as we look for more government transparency, government funding, and oh, by the way, real quickly as well, speaking of transparency, the balanced budget amendment that the House was voting on yesterday got shot down. It needed the 2/3 votes. It didn't. It got the basic majority in like 221 to 211 or something, but it didn't get the 2/3 majority that it needed, so therefore that got shot down. In my opinion, anybody that votes against a balanced budget amendment forcing the government to balance its budget like we do as our household or like a state government does or anybody else, probably, at least in my opinion, should be completely automatically removed from office. I don't know. I mean, was that going to happen? No, but we would like to make that happen. All right, let's shift gears a little bit here, and let's go to our next guest on the program.
Let's go to the Hoosier Media Hotline.
As we talk about accountability, what really going on, and will we ever learn about what the government does behind the scenes sometimes? As you know, I want to go back to the COVID-19 pandemic, and when Rand Paul was actually still doing Rand Paul-y kind of things and was calling out Dr. Anthony Fauci for gain of function that we were doing over in China and the Wuhan labs and everywhere else around the world. Are we really aware of what's really going on? And as we talk about potential threats and new potential pandemics, are we really prepared for these types of things? Happy to have on the program to talk about some of that and more. He is the author of The Sleeper Agent, The Rise of Lyme Disease, Chronic Illness, and the Great Imitator Agents and Biological Warfare. Really happy to have on here Mr. Adam Finnegan. Adam, how are you, my friend?
Good. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, appreciate you very much. You have one heck of a story, and it's a concern that I don't know that we necessarily talk enough about. And when we do talk about it, then sometimes people put on the tinfoil hat and call us crazy, that there are things going on behind the scenes that we're not aware of, and that the government's always out there looking out for our best interest, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's wild. Talk about your story. What led you to actually write this book?
Well, I got sick with Lyme disease in 2016, but I had been familiar with some of the backstory because of a book I read in 2006. After my mother had gotten Lyme disease in the early 2000s, I read this book called Lab 257 about Plum Island, and it was the first book that had talked about a guy named Eric Traub, who was at Plum Island and was running some of the he was supervising some of the testing that was going on back then. I decided at one point that I was going to go deep into that story and try to figure it out myself. And so I ended up reaching out to someone named John Loftus, he was a Nazi hunter. He held the highest security clearance you could hold in government. He used to be military intelligence, but he had brought out that Lyme disease was connected to biological warfare in a 1982 book, The Belarus Secret. And so I reached out to him after I put this small timeline together, and I said, hey, what do you think of this? And he really liked it. He started talking to me, and then he started telling me more of the story and telling me what to look into. He introduced me to a very high-level biodefense source who I can't name, but I was able to get a lot from him. And I started looking into it, and I was able to really just go all out and uncover a lot of this story.
So let's talk about Lyme's disease itself. And for those that don't know, and I'm not an expert on it by any means, but my understanding is, because my wife being an herbalist has helped some individuals with Lyme's in the past, that you get that usually from a tick bite, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's generally the only way you get it, but I've heard actually of people saying they got it from a mosquito bite, and there is some evidence that might suggest that they can transmit it.
Really? That is really interesting. And it's funny you bring up mosquitoes. I had seen a story actually today that we were going to try and bring up earlier. There's a story out of the Telegraph out of the UK that shows that scientists have now openly, successfully talked about putting vaccinations into mosquitoes. And the goal for them is to try and go into bat populations and try and get rid of rabies and eradicate certain diseases based on mosquitoes that are going to fly around that have these vaccinations in them. So we already know this kind of stuff's happening.
Yeah, I mean, this is the kind of thing that was going on way back in the 50s, which was the focus of my book, was kind of that Cold War era, is that they were always doing things to, quote unquote, protect against biological warfare. And every time they would do that, it would end up being an attack in itself. So Eric Traub was attacking us through these simulation tests that were supposed to be harmless microbes that you put in the environment, or you put them in mosquitoes, or you put them in ticks, and you release them and you see how it spreads out to see how a bioterror attack would happen. But every time he was attacking us right under our noses, and this did not stop with Eric Traub. This continued happening in other instances all the way, up to the present day.
Well, it's really interesting because we talk about gain of function, and we have to ask the question, just like you mentioned, that a lot of times when they're doing something in the name of preventing it from happening, it ends up happening from themselves, by themselves because of what they do. Why would we need to do a gain in function to make a virus stronger and more dangerous when that's not how the natural biological world works? So why would we need to do that and create it in the first place for it potentially to get out? That doesn't make any sense to me.
And here's another thing, is we can't even protect against the ones that are already out there. So why would we want to make them more dangerous when we can't even protect against the ones that are already out there?
Yeah, that's really interesting. We're talking with Adam Finnegan. He's the author of the book, The Sleeper Agent. You can find on Amazon, other places right now as well. Do you think that right now we've seen one of the worst outbreaks of measles that we've seen in a good decade or so, a couple decades, with how bad that's been? They tried to blame it on the fact that we've cut back on vaccinations under Robert F. Kennedy Jr., although that timeline doesn't really match up because the outbreak started and they were at the peak before RFK even got into office, even before Trump got into office. So that's kind of laughable. But do you think that some of these viruses that are spreading around like this are from these types of quote-unquote attacks?
What I think about that one is that, so when we rolled out this COVID vaccine, it's a very immunosuppressive spike protein that it makes in your body, and it will suppress your immune system. It's very immunosuppressive. So when you start doing that to an entire population, and then you start giving them live virus vaccines like measles, what happens is it reverts back to active live virulence and starts new outbreaks. And there's been so much published about this. This happened with the oral polio vaccine. It causes new outbreaks it reverts to a more dangerous form in the immunosuppressed and starts new outbreaks.
So you're saying like in other viruses, so it may help, maybe, air quotes here, on the particular one it's going for, but because how it interacts with your immune system, that you're susceptible to other ones that may be floating around.
Yeah, like when you're immunosuppressed and you have say you get a measles vaccine, it's supposed to be a mild virus, but when you don't have an immune system, it can revert back to a more dangerous form and then start spreading to other people. That's what I don't know if that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it makes sense. Is that why do you think that even though we are one of the most vaccinated societies on the face of the earth, we don't have any healthier rates of illness compared to other nations that don't vaccinate nearly as much as we do?
It's basically what I've discovered in my book is Eric Traub had discovered something called immune tolerance, and it has a lot to do with how this works and why why we're basically burning out the immune system by over-vaccinating people. It's just, when I was young, there was only a few that you had to get, and now kids today have to get it's ridiculous how many they have to get, and it's no surprise that their health is just quickly deteriorating.
Yeah, no, it's really insane. We got a couple minutes left here, Adam, and I appreciate your time. Here's the big question. Are we getting better at exposing this? Obviously, with the research you did and getting this word out, but the general population of just being aware that something's not quite right, maybe we shouldn't be doing this gain of function, maybe something else weird is going on. Do you think that we're getting better at figuring this out for better transparency?
Yeah. I do think that. I think people are starting to take a lot more interest in, like, my book, for example, has so many sources and citations. I have over 1,000 citations to official research, and I uncovered so much of this story. I think people will be quite amazed if they pick it up and read it.
Yeah. It's wild. Pandemic 2.0 right around the corner. You think we could see something like that happen again, a global pandemic?
Yeah, I mean, of course, they're always talking about it. I hope that it doesn't, but I think they have some weak spots now that this first one unfolded and all of the stuff they did just didn't work, and it was, people saw through it, and it was just like,
Yeah, so many did fall for it, and so many actually woke up, and I think more people actually woke up than what they did before. We got about 15 seconds left, Adam, but how are you doing with your Lyme disease? How are things handling on your end?
Pretty good. I mean, I'm still sick, but I have my things. Like, for example, I think one of the best things is heavy metal music, and I listen to a lot of music, and I ride my bike a lot, and I just try to eat properly, and I do okay.
Heavy metal music. You and I are going to get along just fine, my friend. I love it. Adam Finnegan, go check it out, The Sleeper Agent. Find it on Amazon, other places as well. Adam, good luck to you, my friend. Let's get you back on and do it again soon.
Awesome.
You bet. Appreciate it. All right, we got one segment left here for a pre-Friday celebration. Lots more coming up. Stay here.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
When you choose Patriot Mobile, you're not just picking a wireless provider. You're choosing a company that shares your values. It's easy to switch, and you can keep your number, your phone, and most importantly, your values. With Patriot Mobile, you get the power of nationwide coverage on all 3 major networks. That means wherever life takes you, we've got you covered on the same reliable networks you already know and trust. And when you need us, we're here for you right here at home. Our customer service is 100% US-based because we believe that support should come from people who understand you and your values. At Patriot Mobile, you're not just another call, you're a priority. In today's world, where you spend your money matters more than ever, every dollar is a vote for the kind of future you want to build. Join the thousands of Americans making a difference with every call, every text, and every connection. Choose a company that shares your values. Choose Patriot Mobile.
Switch today and get 1 month of service absolutely free by going to patriotmobile.com/reason. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left finds new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back. And that's where we can help. Head to our website at HooserReason.com. There you can find our latest blog discussing topical issues of the day. Let us know your thoughts on current events with different surveys and chat rooms. And keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Plus, when you head to the website, you can always get great deals and different offers from all of our great radio partners. Finally, if you want more of the show, you can find our podcasts with all of our great episodes and your favorite guests. And make sure to check out the latest Voice of Reason infomercials and maybe some other special content. And it's all because of you being part of the Hoosier-holic family. Let's continue to fight for conservative common sense principles together by going to HooserReason.com. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.
What fuels the freedom to dream bigger? Our country's greatest breakthroughs were born from bold ideas and the ability to take one small step forward. At Americans for Prosperity, freedom and opportunity find their defenders. Because our country's next giant leap is just around the corner. Are you ready to step up?
Hey, the live show may be almost over today, but it doesn't have to be for you. As always, enjoy the Voice of Reason with our daily podcast by finding the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser on any of your favorite podcasting sites. Just find us, subscribe, have it automatically downloaded, and listen at your convenience whenever you want to bring some more reason into your day. and a lot of people are doing it. Also, you can always find the video of the show, along with articles, additional commentary, and maybe a few sarcastic remarks by following us on our social media. Stay up to date with everything going on with the show, including upcoming guests, breaking news stories, interesting articles, and maybe some memes. Help us in the ongoing battle with censorship and shadow banning from social media by following us on the social media at Hooser Reason on all of our social media sites. For all these social media links, podcast links, contact information, or just general information of the show, go to our website at HooserReason.com. There you can listen live every day, read our latest monthly blog, find our radio affiliate list, or even listen to our latest infomercials and special content. Plus, you can always reach out to the program by sending me a message on social media, emailing us at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com, or sending an email through our website at HooserReason.com. Whether it's content on the show, whether it's a guest that you've liked or disliked, or whether you want to disagree with me, and disagreement's always appreciated. While you're there, make sure to sign up for our monthly newsletter. Each month you'll get the latest update on the show, updates from the Hooser Media Network, and our latest blog discussing topical issues of the day. Finally, if you want to help support the show, become a member of our Patreon site and help us fight for the cause of truth, reason, and common sense every day, and get more of the same by becoming the ultimate Hoosierholic. Get additional interviews that sometimes we don't always get to air on the radio. Hear our special segments or even our infomercials before anyone else, and have a chance to chat with other great Hoosierholics from all over. By becoming a Patreon subscriber, you're not only helping the fight for conservative values, you're helping us get more content and information out through the Hooser Media Network. Find out more information online at HooserReason.com. Lastly, follow and support all of our partners with the show. The Voice of Reason has been growing more and more every year, and it's because of so many great partners helping us get the message out to you. From show partners to local radio affiliates in your area to streaming sites, podcasting sites, and more, we have so many supporters and listeners now than ever before, and we want to thank you. It's time to bring back common sense, and we do it right here every day with the Voice of Reason.
America's safe space for common sense. This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
I understand everybody needs their platform. I understand all of that. But also, everybody needs relief from what's going on in the world. Everybody needs that
escape for a minute.
Escape. And the thing is, it's like I understand that people get really emotional about things politically. So when they are on TV knowing that there's 15, 16 million people in this country alone watching, they want to use that platform to show everybody how emotional they personally are about a situation.
Mm-hmm.
And I get it, but they've also got to get that Joe Public needs a break.
All right, so that's Sharon. That's actually Sharon Osbourne. So talking on some kind of podcast, and after the whatever award ceremony was this past weekend, and they always try to grandstand and again talk about their political views and how bad Donald Trump is. She's just like, hey, we need a break, man. I got to admit, I miss Ozzy. I miss Ozzy Osbourne, one of the great classics, and it's so sad to see him gone. Now that I'm starting to get a little bit older in the later part of the millennial generation and realizing that some of my icons that I grew up listening to and paid attention to and really enjoyed are either getting really old or starting to pass, I don't know, man. It's starting to get me. Not sure. I'm going into panic mode here. The midlife crisis is about to happen, Mrs. Voice of Reason, so get ready for that one. Yeah. Hey, I want to tell you about my friends over at Americans for Prosperity. As you know, they have their major campaign going on for the midterm season, and I want you to go to a website at americansforprosperity.org/affordability. They have their affordability plan out right now, the affordability agenda that we need to give to Congress and make sure that they get done. Obviously, it's difficult for Congress to get anything done right now, but we need this affordability plan. Permitting reform, focusing on energy right now, deregulation, cutting taxes, and allowing the American dream to thrive. That's what AFP is doing. They are sinking millions of dollars into this campaign, and they are still America's grassroots campaign organization, the biggest one in the entire nation, chapters in every single state. You can get involved as well by going to americansforprosperity.org/affordability. Go and check it out right now. All right, as we look towards the end of the week and go towards the new week, we have a confirmation hearing for the Senate now for the Department of Homeland Security as Markwayne Mullin made it through his committee hearing. And even though after the atrocious attacks and the bickering and the internal battle between the two drama queens of Markwayne Mullin and Rand Paul together, as Rand Paul being the chair on that one, he did pass 8-7. And put this into perspective. The deciding vote, the swing vote to allow Markwayne Mullin was none other than John Fetterman, because John Fetterman, the lone Democrat, supported him, while Rand Paul, the Republican, voted against Markwayne Mullin, with proceeding onto the main House floor, with that vote set to be on Tuesday next week.
I made me the only Democrat that refused to shutting our DHS down. You know, some people might say that that doesn't mean I have any less commitment to reform ICE. That's just categorically not true. But it's a strange devotion. I don't understand why you would shut the entire agency down just because you want those kind of reforms on ICE that has absolutely no impact on ICE and doesn't force any of those things.
It seems like right now he's only the halfway reasonable Democrat out there. And look, he still voted against even allowing the SAVE Act filibuster to be happening right now. I'm sure that if it does go to the floor, he may actually vote for it at the end of the day. I'm not sure. He is still a Democrat, so we still disagree on some particular issues, but he's only about the only sane one that's out there right now, which is really insane to think about, because the fact that he voted for Markwayne Mullin, he said he's a great guy, very professional, can't wait to work with him in the administration, and so on and so forth. We got that compared to someone like Rand Paul. And again, I like Rand Paul. I got some heat yesterday after the comments kind of criticizing Rand Paul for bringing out this drama out into the public, but I stand by that. Ideologically, I support Rand Paul. I like Rand Paul. I wish he were more productive in what he does, because we need more fighters like him that are on the ideological stance. I understand his politics, and what he needs to understand is that we have to compromise. It's hard to compromise value. It's hard to compromise principle, but if you want to get anything done, you got to give a little in order to get 30, 40, 50% of your agenda and compromise to move in that right direction. That's very difficult for someone like Rand Paul. Markwayne Mullin is a guy who just says it the way it is and says what's on his mind, and sometimes can get him in a lot of trouble, which is why those two clashed, and butted heads quite a bit and didn't get along personally. Understand it, totally fine. But those types of internal drama, gossip crap needs to stay behind the scenes. The Republican Party's terrible at dragging out our beef to the general public to show how divided we really are. And we don't need to do that. And shame on Rand Paul for not voting for Markwayne Mullin into this position, as opposed to getting him out of the Senate if he didn't like him so much. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And the fact that John Fetterman voted for him, thank God, because that was the swing vote that actually allowed him to move forward. Again, that confirmation vote on the full Senate floor happening on Tuesday next week. All right, back at it again tomorrow for a Friday. Until then, be your own voice of reason. Be that catalyst for change. It's the Voice of Reason. I'm Andy Hooser. We'll see you on the radio soon. Bye.
For too long, Washington has said no to builders, workers, and American families, and yes to bureaucracy, delay, and special interests. Let's flip that. Say yes to building more housing, and no to government mandates that block it. Yes to permitting American energy, and no to endless red tape. Yes to putting patients in charge of healthcare, and no to letting insurance companies call the shots. Higher costs? No. An affordable America? Yes.
Miss any part of the show? Well, don't worry. Now's your chance to go find the podcast and listen to as much of the Voice of Reason as you'd like. As the show continues to grow all across the nation with great radio affiliates, we also continue to grow as one of the top conservative podcasts, ranked 5th on the MillionPodcast.com Best 50 Conservative Leadership Podcasts in the nation, and number 1 on FeedSpot.com's 30 Best Conservative Talk Shows in the country. The show continues to grow each and every day. Just find us on any of your favorite podcasting sites at The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.